Nintendo is a company that aims to, quote, put smiles on the faces of everyone we touch. And after billions of sales in the video game market, I think it's fair to say they've done that. This is a brand most often associated with fun, excitement, togetherness, nostalgia, and just the best of vibes. But also, racism, censorship, injuries to yourself and your television, and worst of all, because it doesn't matter what kind of company you are, you don't make it this far without suffering your fair share of public ordeals. This has always been fascinating to me, how a company with such wholesome intentions can really cause a stir. So today, let's review the biggest controversies from every Nintendo franchise ever. And by every, I mean mostly the modern ones. Basically everything covered in Smash and a bit more. I would love to talk about the little guys, but sorry you Golden Sun stans, Isaac isn't as problematic as you'd like him to be. And as far as where we start with this one, yeah, that's what I was gonna do anyway. I don't think it's a far reach to say that Mario is the face of Nintendo. The two go hand in hand. He's the iconic mascot from Italy who's a plumber. He plums. And he runs and he jumps and he falls and says, unless we're talking about the new voice of Mario where he says, Mario's been in a lot of public spats, but a big one from pretty recent memory was the Mario Odyssey box art. Anything look strange about this to you? Well, that's because it's not the real box art. This is. And as you'll see, the only thing changed was this image in the corner. Yeah, the first version was revealed in June of 2017, but the theory goes that Nintendo ended up switching to the second version in August after being called out for racism and cultural appropriation by Twitter users, but mostly at the center, a specific Ubisoft developer. This phenomenon came to be known as Mexican Mario, and ironically enough, it seemed the Hispanic community was a majority supportive and thrilled about the representation. I mean, let's not forget that when it comes to, quote, stereotypes, Mario himself is basically just that for Italy, but others think that Nintendo changed the box art for aesthetic or marketing reasons as nothing was done about the actual stuff in the game. And by the time it came out, most people had forgotten about this in the wake of one of Mario's best titles. If you ask me, oh, hold on. All rise. Judge Voyen presiding on the right side of history. Nintendo never did anything wrong here. They didn't need to change the cover, and even though doing so wouldn't cost them anything, it's funny that such a small crowd of disgruntled Twitter users could allegedly force Nintendo's hand. Because such was not the case 3 years later with Mario 3D All-Stars. This game suffered multiple layers of criticism, whether it was the price, the effort, the games people felt were left out, the removal of long traditional customs. And on top of all that, epic pro-consumer Nintendo made it only available for 6 months as a limited time special for Mario's 35th anniversary. This didn't sit well with people, and there was so much back and forth about it, like for months, with way more outcry than Mario Odyssey box art, but Nintendo stood their ground, using Doug Bowser as a shield, and the game vanished from the eShop on March 31st, 2021, and like a year later from shelves in store. How about the time Nintendo accidentally tweeted out Wigger Wednesday? How about the time they bought the adult film parody, Super Hornio Brothers? You know, starring King Pooper, Luigi, Bob, and Spider-Woman? Or when PETA released the Mario Kills Tanuki Flash game to siphon attention from Mario 3D Land. Yeah, PETA does this often and we'll probably discuss them again later, but to commemorate the launch of Mario 3D Land featuring the return of the Tanuki suit, PETA launched a same-day campaign including a Flash game and video about why Mario wearing a Tanuki suit is pro-fur, and the goal was to draw attention to the abuse of the raccoon dog, which in their defense is an awful situation. Anyway, Nintendo responded, PETA said it was a joke, and the Flash game can still be played today, but I ain't showing it. These are just a few of my favorites because really the Mario controversy umbrella is so big that we could never cover all of them. Not in a single Mario category anyway. That's why I made like 8 subs, so let's move on to the next one because it's affected me personally. How many of you have played the original Mario Party, and how long did it take you to figure out that it was not a party at all, but instead a ruthless bloodbath against your friends? Well, with a few specific minigames, it was quite literally that. The one most often remembered is Tug of War, where the goal is to win a tug of war match by rotating the controller's joystick faster than the other team or player, because this is a 1 versus 3 minigame. And kids quickly figured out the easiest way to do this was not to use your thumb as intended, but the palm of your hand. This allows for a more swift and precise rotation. The problem here is that with the rigid, sensitive surface of the analog stick, you've practically created a drill, and yeah, you see the issue.
Even with the glove, it hurts.
This doesn't feel good at all.
This glove
This is bad for my hand. This is not okay. Get poked, son.
This really does hurt.
I could like start a fire.
I think
It's hot.
I think
My hand is hot.
Yeah.
It's dark and hell is hot.
I think it hurts more as an
DMX out in
adult.
stores now.
Call it a welt, a blister, for me it was a straight up hole. But so many kids injured themselves by doing this that it led to an expensive lawsuit and Nintendo giving out these gloves they wanted kids to wear when playing Mario Party. Growing up with this game, I honestly don't know a single person who we played with who didn't try this at least once. It was like a badge of honor. Get the huge gash and then immediately break out ice water to put their entire hand into, and that's just how we learned back in my day, kids. And also, I ended up beating the other 3 people, so you know what? It was totally worth it. You'd think after such intense legal action, Nintendo would want to stay away from this minigame, but they later ended up bringing it back. Twice. First to the 3DS, which, okay, fine, I don't think the circle pad is capable of causing injury. But again on the Switch, where they included a disclaimer in Mario Party Superstars. Bold risk. At the same time, like, how could you not? It's such an important cultural piece of Mario Party history. Unlike free updates. Yeah, let's get this out of the way super quick. Since the Switch, really since the 3DS, almost every Mario sports game has suffered a drastic drop in quality, mostly due to free updates enabling unfinished launches. Everyone is always whining about it, me included. We've got like 4 videos talking about it on the channel, and I intend to stay toxic about this until we get a good one. So, long story short, pray for Mario Baseball and play Mario Golf World Tour. Mario Kart has strangely lived most of its life outside any sort of public meltdown, which is pretty cool and just a big display of how beloved all these games are. I mean, sure, people can be a little divided on some of them, but like, is there a bad Mario Kart? No, because they're all good quality titles. They're all... yeah, I guess you're right. Unsurprisingly, bringing your series to a mobile platform exposed some greedy underdealings, because Mario Kart Tour is no stranger to the very cheered on and Nobel Peace Prize winning feature that is loot boxes, where by spending in-game currency, you can receive special items from the Spotlight Pipe, and you can also pay us real money too. Yeah, this one spells itself out. Nintendo got sued in 2023 for promoting gambling to children, and dude, I don't even know how they got this far. Countries in Europe outlawed loot boxes literally years before this game even came out. How can anyone not have guessed this is how things were gonna go? Nintendo must have, because they got rid of the feature last year and replaced it with a shop. I don't know, dude, this is just Nintendo's Battlefront 2, and also, while we're here, Universal put a size limit on their Mario Kart ride, and people were justifiably upset. Okay. I think the Mario Kart lawsuit has solid grounds to stand on, but when it comes to the Paper Mario lawsuit, things get a little bit more bizarre. In 2008, Morgan Creek Productions attempted to sue Nintendo for using the song You're So Cool.
He's so cool.
In a 1,000-Year Door commercial. They claimed that Nintendo had used the music without permission, but after only 6 days, the suit was suddenly dropped. When questioned about why they abandoned it, the productions company had nothing to say. Nintendo, on the other hand, simply said that their advertisers Leo Burnett provided the company with a license they did in fact have to play the song. Basically, the company jumped the gun on legal action without really doing their research first, and lost money and dignity in the process.
Embarrassing.
So from here I want to move to 2 Mario sub-series that are actually pretty clean. The first is Wario and WarioWare. Funny enough, the games featuring a money-grubbing, self-centered anti-hero haven't really been super involved in anything. There was one small controversy about misheard lyrics with Ashley's theme on WarioWare Touched. It ended up all being bogus and in my opinion isn't worth the legitimization that is talking about it at length in a YouTube video. Then Yoshi. Yoshi also hasn't really ever been problematic. There was one instance where a Flash game made by the EPA used Yoshi's Island DS music without asking and it went unnoticed for years, which is kind of funny since this is government sponsored. Nintendo called them out on it in 2019, they removed it and all is well. Beyond that, Yoshi is pretty much clean, although I hear he's a bit of a tax evader. However, in the Mario crew, there is one member that is responsible for one of Nintendo's biggest legal battles. I'm talking about a conflict so threatening it could have destroyed the company. And that member is... Oh my god, this company made a monkey that causes havoc from the top of a big structure? And then this company also made a monkey that causes havoc from the top of a big structure while kidnapping a girl? Those plagiarist scum. In the early 80s, Universal Studios, who owned the rights to King Kong, attempted to sue Nintendo over similarities with their Donkey Kong. This was well before the days of Nintendo being big money. Universal was an established corporate giant, and Nintendo was a baby on the shores of Washington. Meaning it wasn't just a terribly one-sided matchup, losing this lawsuit could have easily toppled Nintendo. But because Nintendo's legal team was able to find an earlier claim of Universal's that King Kong was public domain, they therefore asserted that Universal never had any rights to King Kong themselves, aka because we saved that legal jargon for Ace Attorney. Universal was being hypocritical with the King Kong name, using it to benefit themselves and put down others. Nintendo countersued for damages, won, defeated some appeals, and went on to make Donkey Kong his own great character, as he always had been. And years later, the two eventually made up in time for movie distribution and a theme park and doing whatever else billion-dollar companies do after school. This is one of my favorites because Judge Voyen, Part 2. Nowadays, it's kinda wild to look back on this story where Nintendo was defending themselves as the little guy, because almost every move they make today seems like some big company bullshit. And as we finally close out this Mario category, I want to remind you that there's a lot of non-series specific Nintendo controversies that just go to show you how alienated they are from this identity. In the 80s, they were fighting for their life. Nowadays, they are fighting everyone like we are trying to take their life. No, Nintendo. I just want to listen to the Heart Gold OST on YouTube, jeez. Speaking of Pokemon, we should probably talk about the batshit insane reception of Scarlet and Violet, where everyone was quick to discover loads of bugs and... No, wait a minute, I've got the wrong game. What was the one that came out before it? It was like, Oh, okay, hold on, here we go. Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl skipping out on platinum content and resorting to chibi models was the worst way to remake. No, it's not that. It's, right, okay. Sword and Shield graphics served as proof to many fans that Game Freak was fuck, no, it was the one before that. Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu pandered too much to the beat of Pokemon
barely
Go.
changed
Sun and
things
Moon
like
abandoned
Virtual
Jody Dollar
Controls,
Wild
Wild
Battles. It really shouldn't be shocking that the most controversial games in a series produce the most, controversy. And with Fire Emblem, Fates was definitely going to suffer that fate. I'm logging off. After Awakening brought the series into a resurgence, there was a lot of hype going into the next entry. But Fire Emblem Fates took a fusion approach of being Pokemon in Shin Megami Tensei, where it had several versions, and they were based on a choice made early in the game. You could join the birth family, the foster family, or deny both, and each of these would lead to a different $40 MSRP 3DS game. That in itself was already causing issues, especially after Nintendo decided to make a 3-in-1 version of the game as a limited edition for $80. But then, just a couple weeks before the game was out, came reports of localization. This was the removal of certain aspects of the game deemed to cause confusion or offense in the West, and it was this. Oh no, the war game won't let me pet my wife. Damn. People acted at the time like this was gonna kill Fire Emblem Fates. No, bitch. Fire Emblem Fates was gonna kill Fire Emblem Fates. Simultaneously, I do legitimately understand why this can be so frustrating for the overseas market. Fire Emblem Fates completely rewrites some characters, removes supports, removes skins, or rather, covers them up. Oh yeah, obligatory mention of the Tharja curtain. Can't do controversies without putting a little curtain over it for the Americans, right? But call it what you want, censorship, localization, bimboification. It can suck when the game is modified like this, especially considering Nintendo did it as recently as this year with Fire Emblem Engage. But 3 months before Fire Emblem Fates was suffering regional changes, It was Xenoblade, with Xenoblade Chronicles X. This game was covered in controversy for a while as well. Fans were upset about the faces, the music, the data packs, and Nintendo altered it quite a bit for its Western release, changing a few things, but it was the removal of the boob slider that really did it. And also, have you ever said the word boob slider out loud? That's fun as hell. Anyway, from here we could talk about Nintendo expat Allison Rapp and how the boob slider controversy grew into a far bigger one. But this is the Xenoblade topic, and we instead should focus on how the complaints of no boob slider may have led to a 180 reversal in the series' next biggest controversy, which was
The name's Dahlia. Allow me to make your life as enchanting as possible. We'll be great together, I do declare.
So, this southern ice rabbit woman sword here is one of the possible blades you can get in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and back around launch, an image of Dahlia blew Twitter up, sparking the unending debate of where people land on Xenoblade 2's character designs and sexual content in general. I mean, I certainly see where people are coming from. She looks okay, just her face, but then the more you scroll down, it's just like, there's since been reports about the image being glitched, mainly just her back. I don't know if this is real. I don't know if anything is real anymore. But I do know that if you simply look through some of the blade designs in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, there was always gonna be at least one. I say this as someone who loves the game. And can we talk about the time Nintendo tried to sell the Xenoblade 3 Special Edition exclusively on there? No, let's move on. Pikmin. This is actually a pretty clean series. The most in arms fans got was back during the Wii U drought when Nintendo came out of nowhere and was like, yeah, Pikmin 4 is basically finished. And then fast forward 8 years into a it's not a lie if it's eventually the truth narrative. Pikmin 4 is such a good game, it shut everybody right up because damn could you see how they spent that time to make the best possible game. Kirby is also a relatively clean set of games, true to his wholesome, adorable image. If we wanted to grasp at straws, I could talk about the machine gun scene in the anime that 4Kids cut out from the American broadcast, which is funny because Nintendo of America worked for years to make the Kirby box art and commercials more aggressive, and a scene of Kirby firing an automatic would have been icing on the cake. But no, 4Kids does this all the time, and also I'm trying to keep to content based in video games with this list. The Wii Series. Now this is a fun one. A tale as old as time itself about Wii owners being way too excited to try out their new console and ignoring the very first sentence that the game presents you with.
Overhand?
I paid £105 for it last week, so if I'm up to 32 quid, is it?
But after the funny YouTube videos of people destroying their own property, first lawsuits, second, Nintendo overemphasizing the strap in every future release, and third, designing the bowling ball controls in Switch Sports to have you hold on to the Joy-Con when releasing the ball, thus to avoid controller flight as much as possible. And speaking of Switch Sports, which isn't in the Wii series, but in the Nintendo Sports series, fuck that game. This is another controversy I'm part of, and that many of you know me for, criticizing the dumb avatars, the free updates, the online model. The game could have been legendary, it's obviously famous for the wrong reasons, but I have to set that aside for now because there's another game in the Wii series that took some shots, and it's Wii Fit? Wait a minute, Script, are you sure it's not the god-awful Wii music, or the terrible attempt at Wii Sports HD? How could the title that started the trend of fitness gaming cause any backlash whatsoever? Oh, so you mean it's fitness in general. So it turns out they called a 10-year-old girl obese. Wii Fit, the original body shamer. Kids these days have Instagram and TikTok to make them feel bad about how they look. They'll never know what it was like to drop $90 on some cutting-edge Nintendo technology to tell them they're out of shape. Especially when, if they really wanted to get all buff and such, all they had to do was wait a year so they could buy. For how iconic Punch-Out is, It sure is not doing anything. The last game came out almost 15 years ago, and the series has had basically nothing but Smash and re-releases since then, which sucks because the Wii entry is a great game that you can play with motion controls and get extremely sore doing. The Switch would be perfect, if not for a sequel, just a port. But why hasn't Nintendo done that? No, go ahead and guess, because when I tell you it's racism, oh my god, Voyan, what? Let me introduce you to some of the opponents in Punch-Out. This is Glass Joe, the first character you fight. He's very small compared to everyone else and goes down rather easy, not before saying, Soda Popinski from Russia, who constantly drinks, Von Kaiser, who's the strict military dude in suspenders from Germany, Bear Hugger, who resembles a lumberjack and drinks maple syrup from Canada, Super Macho Man, the very tan, self-obsessed boxer from Hollywood, and Donkey Kong. So yeah, the game plays on stereotypes which range from solidly existing in the Wii version to pretty much straight racism the further you go back. It's something people are, obviously, generally aware of, and I believe if given the shine of today, the controversy would be much deeper. We open the video with a story about Mario getting called out for cultural appropriation. I don't even want to think about how people would react to this, and neither does Nintendo, which is probably why the series is on hiatus. But honestly, if you can look past it all, you have a great game that is just as challenging as it is funny, because Punch-Out has the best character ever, Doc Lewis.
Duck this one!
Moving into our next giant series with The Legend of Zelda, 20 games across 37 years, there is so much going on, so let's get the big boys right out of the way. Number 1, the Skyward Sword demo from E3 2010 that was a disaster.
Okay, so here, I have to cut vertically. Oh.
Number 2, Ocarina of Time's Islamic references in the OG version of the game. Number 3, weapon durability. Number 4, female Link. Number 5, the Zelda cycle. Alright, let's leave it at that, because now I want to go to my favorite place on the internet, the official Zelda bitch thread. From 2001, this is a time capsule of the general internet reaction to The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker shortly after its beta footage was released. Most people know this story by now, but after 2 great N64 games and a demo showing what a GameCube Zelda could look like, we were shown what the GameCube Zelda would look like, and people found this new art style revolting. I remember my eldest brother specifically slamming this new entry, which shocked me as a kid because he was the one who introduced us to Zelda, and as you can see in the thread, he was not alone. I think I'm gonna cry. Yeah, Nintendo, good to see you making more mature games now. Stylish? Link looks like a 2-year-old freak. This sucks. That is a disgrace to the Zelda franchise. I don't know if I'm a Nintendo fan anymore. All my hopes were on a mature Zelda that would surpass every game and kill any Xbox shit and P2 titles. But after seeing that Zelda video, I punched my monitor and said, "Why, Nintendo? Why? I'm deeply reconsidering my purchase of the Cube now, considering another bumble of a move on Nintendo's part. Final Fantasy X is looking better each day, oh my god." The Wind Waker backlash was so huge, it would influence Zelda for the next 4 years and basically become the reason for Twilight Princess. And if you think the arguments died once the game came out, I mean, yeah, they kinda did. It might look kiddie, but only one Zelda game lets you stab Ganondorf in the head. Wait, hold on. I built my channel on Animal Crossing. Can't we do this in like a more ceremonial way? All right, baby, Voyan is back, ready to talk about Animal Crossing controversy. I already basically did it in this video from like a year ago, and every other time I bring up New Horizons. But today I have come with a story about a person who did the unthinkable. A player of Animal Crossing who crossed the Animal Crossing, and that person is the President of the United States? Funny thing about lockdown and living out your entire life through Animal Crossing, there's no advertisements. And back in 2020, companies began to notice this, so they quickly put homies on contract to interact and market within the game to therefore advertise. The list is pretty fat. H&M, IKEA, Hellmann's, Chuck E. Cheese, Gucci, the Detroit Lions. One of the more famous ones was KFC, who created an entire island with a dream address, and it looked okay. But 2020 was also the year of a presidential election, so it wasn't just advertising, it was campaigning. And Joe Biden wasn't gonna be caught dead, not having an island for all the bronies? Just a few weeks before election day, the team behind Biden revealed his very own island, which also looks, I mean, it's very serviceable. I personally believe I could have done a better job, so maybe hire me next time, Mr. Biden. But there will not be a next time because someone wasn't impressed. Nintendo. Releasing a statement a month later saying, please refrain from bringing politics into the game or as a marketing platform that directs people to activities or campaigns outside the game. As we all knew, it was Jover. Despite this, his island still stands, a symbol of defiance against the 1984 practicing Nintendo. Maybe he can fight for reform against the Star Tree ban. This is another one we talked about recently too with the Federation Force video and basically all of Nintendo's actions from 2013 through 2016. The tone-deaf announcement after Other M, overly defensive interviews, removing the fan-made Metroid 2 remake, leading to boycotts, sales disasters, and the most disliked video at the time, which I won't bring all that up again, go watch that video if you're curious. But it was a rough few years for Metroid fans, like it was rough last year for Advance Wars fans, aka me, who had to suffer a year-long delay of the remake due to similarities with real-world events? Yeah, basically a staple of the franchise. F-Zero, I mean, to have video game controversy, you first need video games, and F-Zero has been on administrative leave for like 2 decades. That's probably how it gets to its biggest scandals, fans just wanting an answer. They will literally do anything for an answer. But no, this series is also a majority clean. Ugh, give me something good. Give me something like, oh hell yeah. Bayonetta gets in about as much trouble as you would expect for a series about half-naked women using guns to fight demons, but not because of any of that stuff. That's actually why people love the series. They love its over-the-top stylish, adrenaline-triggering, promiscuous nature. So it should come as no surprise why everyone was confused when Bayonetta 2 was announced to be Nintendo exclusive. And of all the times to be exclusive, to the upcoming and ill-fated Wii U. Back in 2012, Sega decided they were no longer interested in funding Bayonetta 2, but Nintendo, looking to win back over their hardcore audience with their new console, was. So they teamed up with Platinum, making the game an exclusive for the Wii U, and the internet came with weapons. Specifically against themselves, the big meme being that Bayonetta fans were threatening to SD over the port. It released in 2014 and everyone was fine, although they never stopped asking. I gotta say that as a Wii U owner at the time, this is like the best fucking memory I have of that console. Bayonetta 2 was the only time we got something everyone else wanted, and for the rest of the Wii U lifespan, it would be the other way around. So while it sucks that the sequel couldn't go multi-plat like the original did, I ate up every second of this. In the case of Bayonetta 3, not so much. Fast forward 10 years after the Bayonetta 2 debacle to just a couple of weeks before its sequel is out. And of all the people a problem could arise with, it is not the fans, it is not the publishing company, nor the developers, but instead, Bayonetta's voice actress, Helena Taylor, who took to Twitter to announce that she would not be returning to the series after Platinum offered her a trivial $4,000 US to reprise her role. Everyone was pissed. Fuck Platinum Games, fuck Bayonetta 3, fuck Hideki Kamiya, who shut down his Twitter account and all of this. And it was all so believable, a big company treating their talent like they're worth way less. But then, after several sources close to Platinum started arguments against Helena's story, it slightly changed, which is always a great sign. She admitted she was first offered 10 grand, and after rejecting that, 15 grand, but she denied it because she thought she was owed more for a $450 million franchise. What? Anyway, after that, equation, Platinum still wanted her to have a presence in the game and offered her the $4,000 for a cameo. She did not take it. She instead went and lied on the internet that the execs offered her dirt and called for a boycott of Bayonetta 3, ironically destroying her career in the process and inadvertently creating so much buzz for the game she wanted to abolish. At the same time as the ongoing actor strike, I don't really want to say the company was in the right and that this was basically all Helena's fault. But yeah, this was pretty much entirely her fault. Platinum did nothing wrong. In fact, Hideki Kamiya offering her more money and then a simple cameo is actually a very nice gesture. And for Helena to not only lie about this situation, but not apologize and then also call for a boycott, I can't see how she doesn't deserve her fall.
I feel like a fucking celebrity in this town.
So going into this, I was like, what? What did they do? Nintendogs is a wholesome game. It cannot sin, it cannot upset. Like, dude, even PETA likes it. How did Nintendogs cause any sort of drama? The answer is some bullshit. In 2010, a 9-year-old girl named Megan was playing Nintendogs at a friend's house when she was attacked by their bull mastiff. Megan was dragged off the couch where the dog began biting her face, eventually tearing off her lip. Why? Well, her grandmother told outlets that the dog heard barking from the DS game and that triggered him. She said, "I think this game should carry some kind of warning. People should be told not to play it when there are dogs in the room. I blame the dog for what happened to Megan. If they hadn't been playing it, I don't think the dog would have gone for her." No, Grandma, you've got it all wrong. It's the electricity's fault. If it hadn't charged the DS, she wouldn't have played it and the dog wouldn't have attacked. Meanwhile, the dog's actual owner gave the extended statement to the police of, Megan may have kicked the dog. Who knows what made the dog attack, but you know what? It's probably like 99% Nintendogs' fault. Just saying, Nintendo, you really need to bump the rating up to AO next time. And on the topic of games that can do no wrong, Tomadachi Life doesn't allow same-sex relationships. In the Japanese version, players could exploit a glitch to marry the same sexes, but that glitch was patched when it came time for the Western release. And honestly, while that was kinda shitty given that it was a decade ago and originally Japanese, I don't think it would have been as big of a deal. But then after fan backlash, Nintendo opened their mouth as to why they were gonna be homophobic. Quote, Nintendo never intended to make any form of social commentary with the launch of Tomadachi Life. We hope that all of our fans will see that Tomadachi Life was intended to be a whimsical and quirky game, and that we were absolutely not trying to provide social commentary. This led to a far more heated backlash, to which they released a second statement, plenty more apologetic, and vowed that Tomadachi Life would have more inclusive options in the next game, and I don't even need to write the joke on that one. But at least they affirmed that in the future they would not dismiss the LGBTQ, and I suppose that's still a victory in and of itself. Splatoon? Oh geez, I'm not even gonna act like I know anything about Splatoon. Hold on one sec.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, do you know anything about Splatoon controversy?
Well, Voyan, there was that one time when Splatoon created a controversy from another Nintendo controversy, which is what we call in the industry a controversagami. Back during the dark COVID era, you couldn't really hold in-person Super Smash Bros. Melee tournaments. Since the official version of Melee is only on the GameCube, gamers came together and decided to use the online software Slippy and do the tournaments online. And as always, Nintendo did what Nintendo does and said, nah, you're not gonna do that. Fans trended the hashtag #FreeMelee in order to spread awareness, and Splatoon found itself in the crossfire. During the Splatoon 2 North American Open, 30% of the top teams competing had names referencing Smash Melee. And you probably know what happened here. Nintendo said, nah, and canceled the live stream of the event's finals. In light of the cancellation, players then threw their own tournament and had one of the largest prize pools in Western Splatoon history, and record-breaking viewer counts in support of the tournament. All in all, power to the gamers, bad Nintendo, and back to you, Voyan.
What? Something about free Melee? Wow, what a shocker. The game about fighting has caused some fighting. Get it? Because you can't even call it a fighting game with... Oh man, I love this fan base. Yeah, the free Melee stuff was pretty big, mostly because how much Nintendo loves to act like the competitive Melee scene isn't real until the minute emulation is discussed. But honestly, we've had Nintendo as the antagonist for quite a bit now. I'm ready for a shakeup. Let's go back to the time when it was the fans who wronged Nintendo. Being that each new game is always filled with new characters, stages, and other stuff, everyone is always anxious to know what's going to be included, resulting in the leak culture that plagues Nintendo. It can be completely fake, and almost always is. Or you might get something like Ultimate's Grinch leaks or Melee's Sonic Rumor that are much more convincing. Or it can be totally real. Like in the case of the 2014 ESRB leak alongside Super Smash Bros. For 3DS. The wait and lead up to Smash 4 was a huge deal, 6 long years. And to make it all but a month beforehand when these images and videos were uploaded by an alleged ESRB employee, that was both really hype, but also fucking sucked. Speculation was non-existent, it looked far too real, only made worse when Nintendo started, surprise, taking the videos down. With it all but confirmed, those small fleeting seconds of hype were quickly replaced by anger. Anger about the leaks, anger about the characters revealed in the leaks. No ice climbers, but dark pit, what the fuck? It spread like wildfire on social media, and you couldn't escape it even if you were trying to. I'm pretty sure this is the reason Nintendo wanted to reveal all the characters of Ultimate before it released, so no one could take that from them again. And that's also the reason they fired and prosecuted the dude who did it. So, yeah, Smash players, known for not showering, dramatic rage quitting, and apparently infringement, as well as trying to get some cupcakes? Dude, what the fuck? Star Fox is a series, no joke, where all but like 2 games in the whole thing have caused receptive controversy. Most of the time it's just debating if the game is good or not, so I don't really count it. But there was that time when Star Fox 2 came out in 2017 and IGN reviewed it like it was made in 2017. That was kind of funny. Then Kid Icarus, pretty much clean, although there is one interesting debate that's continued for over a decade now. I think most people would say that Uprising is the series' magnum opus, and I agree. It is in fact a certified banger, with horrendous controls. This was the uniform complaint after the game launch, that the controls either felt too slippery, too hand-crampy, too busy, but others have asserted that there's nothing wrong with them, including creator Masahiro Sakurai. It's been a tiny argument within the fanbase for years. I'm in the camp of it's really weird for like the first couple hours, then you get used to it, and most of the complaints could be fixed with a Circle Pad Pro, but a Circle Pad Pro could not fix your brain, and neither would Brain Age. Look at the front cover of this game. Train your brain in minutes a day.
So that was a fucking lie.
Neuroscientists have actually performed studies, and they have found that the game might not actually be as cognitively beneficial as it advertises. That's what I've been telling you people. Play Professor Layton. You think flash focus improves your eyes? You think my stop smoking uh-oh. Well guys, I wanted to save the best for last. The Mother series, while meant to be a silly, lighthearted set of JRPGs playing off genre tropes, is also very contentious. Risky pop culture references, horrible marketing, and development frustration, but the biggest controversy comes in the form of why won't Nintendo give us the best goddamn game of all time? Listen, we have done some terrible things here in the West, but anything to deserve withholding the divine work that is Mother 3? No. There's so much speculation on why, but gamers have largely given up on when, which is what I'm gonna send you home with. A reminder that we shouldn't ask for the reasons Nintendo hasn't released the game, but just for a release date. And I think that's where we're gonna call it.